Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nurmal here, and in this video we'll be doing the detailed camera review of the Xiaomi 11i HyperCharge. So Xiaomi 11i HyperCharge is the latest smartphone announced by Xiaomi, and this comes with a 108 megapixel triple camera setup, and also it comes with 16 megapixel selfie camera. So let's see how the camera stacks up against the competition in this price segment. So first let's have a look at the camera hardware offered. In terms of camera hardware, the phone comes with a 108 megapixel Samsung sensor, the HM2 sensor with f1.89 aperture. There is an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, a third 2 megapixel macro sensor is also included. Now the front camera is a 16 megapixel f2.45 aperture. So let's find out how the camera performs in this price segment. First step, let's have a look at the daylight shots. In terms of daylight, the 108 megapixel sensor does a good job in bringing details. The colors are quite good and saturation levels are controlled. Even the sky colors looks good and they are mostly natural looking, but at times they do have slightly higher bluish tint. The sharpness levels are quite okay, but there is still room for improvement. As you can see, images aren't as sharp as you would have liked when you pixel peep. The dynamic range is once again quite good. In terms of daylight, the overall quality is good, but we feel the sharpness levels could be a tad better, especially with the 108 megapixel sensor. Also, the images have a warmer tone in general. The 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera does a decent job in maintaining the details, and colors are as good as the primary sensor, and sharpness levels are also surprisingly good for an 8 megapixel shooter. Overall, the ultra wide angle camera is quite usable one. Now moving on to the close-up shots, the phone comes with pretty good imaging capabilities and the colors are once again quite good and does not oversaturate. The sharpness levels are quite good, and the phone comes with a 2 megapixel macro sensor. Here we feel it is disappointing as the macros have too much of noise and details are not as good as some of the other Xiaomi smartphones. There is still scope for improvement in the macros. Now moving on to the portraits, the images from the Xiaomi 11i came out average. The details are good, but the skin tones doesn't look good and the processing seems to take a toll on the overall quality. The sharpness levels are quite adequate and edge detection seems to be good, but the overall image quality seems to be average. Next up, the low light captures. The low light performance of the 11i HyperCharge camera is decent. In regular mode and indoor lighting condition, it produces decent results and sharpness levels are good, but noise is evident. When light drops further and when night mode is turned on, the images have good details and sharpness levels and are also pretty decent in terms of overall quality. It does not go overboard with the night mode processing, but at the same time, the lens flare is quite evident though. The low light performance could be a tad better overall. Finally, the selfie camera. The 16 megapixel shooter was kind of decent as the images tends to be quite good in terms of colors and sharpness levels. The skin tones are natural, although it is more of a personal choice. The sharpness levels and the dynamic range is also decent. Since selfies are more of a personal choice, you can judge based on the images shown. The phone also has portrait mode for selfies, and here it does a decent job with edge detection. So this is the 1080p 60 fps video using the front camera on the Xiaomi 11i HyperCharge. So this is the front facing camera sample taken with the Xiaomi 11i HyperCharge. This is recorded in 1080p resolution at 30 fps. So you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the video is and also the audio output. Now moving on to the video recording, the phone can record 4K at 30 fps without stabilization being offered. The 4K footage looks sufficiently sharp and has quite a bit of details and nice contrast too, but lack of stabilization could be a deal breaker for many. The phone also supports 1080p at 60 fps. Here once again the video quality looks good and stabilization is not offered though. Once again the colors are good in the video recording. The 1080p at 30 fps supports stabilization, and here the quality is once again pretty good. The colors are good and details are also quite good for the segment. The phone also comes with 1080p video recording for ultra wide angle lens. Once again the quality is good and there is stabilization being offered. The colors are once again similar to the primary camera and sharpness levels are quite okay. The phone also comes with support for slow motion and quality is quite decent here. It supports up to 960 fps slow motion recording. So that is a detailed camera review of the Xiaomi 11i HyperCharge. So summing up, the camera on the 11i has its positives with good daylight shots, ultra wide and decent looking low light shots and good video recording too. But having said that, there are areas of improvement, and notable area is portraits and macros which needs to be improved with updates. Also the sharpness levels in daylight could be a tad better overall. So that is our detailed review of the Xiaomi 11i HyperCharge camera. So what do you guys think about the camera on the Xiaomi 11i HyperCharge? Do share in your thoughts in the comment section. This is Nirmal signing off. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.